Okay, so in today's class, we'll be doing a lot of programming questions. It's 11:15 right now, so we'll do it as quick as possible, and we'll go step by step from, I would say, the beginner version to the more professional and experienced version of the code. So we'll start with very basic, which you have already seen, which you have already done. I want you to take a picture of these 3 questions so far. There are more. So starting with first 3. Then I will be doing stop share, and then I will be sharing my pie chart. Okay, can you see my pie chart? Just let me know with thumbs up and thumbs down. So our first question is, write a simple program to check even or odd numbers, check even or odd using single line if and else, and then these are divided into 2 questions. So first, one way of doing a code is whenever, as many of you have mentioned, that you want to work for Microsoft, you want to work for Apple, Google. So these companies, everyone, as Yahya mentioned as well, like it's a very competitive, like all of you, and it's not just you, it's like not just you guys who are planning to go for Apple and Microsoft. There are just count number of colleges, number of classes they are offering, and just take an example of UW Seattle, CSCI 142 section. They have 1,200 students in one class. So it means all those 1,200 have the same dream as you are planning right now, right? So what will make you unique, what will make you competitive, like among others, like what skills you have. So what they are looking at, so again, as mentioned, they won't be giving you a software or a computer. They will be giving you a whiteboard and a board marker where you have to write your code and do the code. So I want you, after this lecture, I want you to search on YouTube the interview process for Google, or like whatever your dream job big company is. Like Google and Apple are like the big companies who have like their set criteria, and it's obvious that it's not easier to get in over there as a software engineer. So look at their interview process. So I was looking at one of the video like 3-4 years back. I still remember that video, like, because that was so, a different interview process. They provided one programming question, and they asked the candidate to solve it, and they gave him like 1 hour to solve. So, and now you think you have the whole hour for you to solve that question, but that's not the case. They are keeping track of your time, like how much time you have taken to solve that question, because there were 100 other candidates and they did it in like 10 minutes or 5 minutes, but you took your whole hour to finish that one programming question. That was one thing. The other thing, after doing that programming question, they came back and they will ask you, and they will say, can you do it in more efficient way? Like, can you improve your code? So writing or solving your code, that's not a big thing. That's not something you should be proud of. Like, that's one thing you should be proud of. But the other thing is you need to think in a way like how I will make my code more efficient. If I am solving this code with like 4 loops, why I am using four different loops? Is it possible that this code can be done in 2 loops? There was one candidate who did it by using 1 loop. Like, there are multiple solutions for one programming question. So as mentioned, take multiple lines of code. It's not a good way of writing a code. That's why our programming languages already have introduced our loops, methods, so that to avoid the repetitive part, or to avoid the redundancy in your code. So we are just doing a simple one, checking a number, even and odd. So first thing is, you can I'll start with the very lame one, like print. I'm doing let's enter a number so that we know, user know I have to enter a number, and then colon, and then enter print. Then I'm creating a variable num, so that I know every time whenever you are taking a number, you know who's holding the number, where that number will go. So if you recall, if I just say input like this, so at first we were taking in 1 line, right? So now I have written 2 lines. So it means there is a possibility that these 2 lines can be converted into 1 line. So this input will take it as a string. So if you take the number like this, this will be a string and you won't be able to perform any mathematical functions. And according to our question, we have to perform some mathematical functionality to check whether that number is even or odd. So it means we need to typecast it with int. And whatever the input user will enter will go inside. It will be a string. It will be typecasted to int and will be assigned to our num. Now we have num. So you have learned that if what, like how you are testing your code. Let me open your chat on the right side. I want participation. Otherwise, I will start calling name and asking questions. So it will be good that you use chat and participate. Constant participation, how to check whether a number is even or odd, how you tell that if a number is even or odd. Use the chat. How I will tell, like this 2 is even or 3 is even, divisible by 2, divisible by 2. Now that's like mathematical term that that number is divisible by 2. But how we are performing that divisible by 2 over here, like what are the operators? This is what you have learned with expressions, right? Remember, I told you that these are the small topics which will make a big impact on your programming question. Now you need those expressions which you have learned in chapter 2, that how I will perform the divisible by 2 operation on this number. Like what do you think is the answer? What do you think will be the expression? Now you have to create the expression to check whether that number is divisible by 2. Yes, you take number mod 2, which is equals to 0. So if I do the mod, so if you recall this %, this is a remainder that if I divide the divisible by 2, if I divide the number by 2, if the remainder is equals to 0, it means that number is even, right? And remember the syntax that if it's you end it with a colon, and when you enter, my cursor is already indented. It means that now whatever I write at this point where my cursor is blinking, it will be part of if condition. And if that condition is true, then that print statement will run. Otherwise, that print statement will not run. So there are no curly braces and no parentheses, anything else in Python syntax. So now what I have to print, if this number mod 2 equals to 0, what should be my output? I can use \n just for, a new line to make my code neat and, clean so that it's readable, not congested, not everything is on the same place. Print \n, let's say, what will be the output? Use the chat to send it to everyone if possible. Most of the students are doing a direct chat, that's okay too. But if possible, if you have no issues, you can make a guess. It's not graded, it's not affecting your grade, you're just making a guess and just doing a participation. Sometimes when you are watching something, that's okay, and you're like, yeah, I understand what's going on. I had hundreds of students in the past saying that when I do the code, they know how to do it, but when they try to do it, they get errors and they don't understand how to do it. So that's why I want you to open your PyCharm, do it with me, right, side by side, so that you are doing by your hands. You're typing it, the errors. Number mod 2 equals to 0. We will type number is even, and as you can see, enter, as I said, enter, my cursor is still indented. It means I can write multiple lines for if, but I don't have multiple lines. I have to do backspace and I have to write my else. My else is colon again, and then my another print statement will be double quotation marks \n, number is odd. So for odd, as you can see, I don't have to write another condition, right? I am not writing that if num mod 2 is not equals to 0, then print this. I'm using if and else because there are two conditions. There are two scenarios, possible scenarios. If number is even or number is odd. If number is even, it means that's not odd. If number is not even, it means that number is odd, right? So you don't need elif. So as you can see, our code is complete. This code will work. If number mod 2 is equals to 0, it will print number is even, else it will print number is odd. So let's run our code. Just want to check if I'm running the right code. This is But as you can see, there are 6 lines of code, but this code can be improved, can be, where's my, okay. Again, my computer is really slow. As you have seen, my tabs, I have so many tabs open, like I should have closed it before the class, but now it's just taking a lot of memory space and my computer is slow. Now enter a number, let's enter 5, and number is odd. As you can see, because of \n, it just gave an extra line over here. If you don't want to write \n, that's totally fine. Let's run our code again. Enter a number, let's enter 8, any even number, it says number is even. So our code is working. You should be proud of it, like our code is working, yay. But can you improve this code? Can you improve the number of lines of code you have? So let's see how we can improve. First of all, we can take out, right now, just see there are 6 lines, okay? So let's see how many lines of code we can reduce. If I remove Control X and I can put it over here, Control V, enter a number, and I can just remove one of the print statement, right? Number int, there are no errors, it will take the number and we have the number. Now, what about this if and else? Can we remove this? How much shorter you can do this if and else? Like, is there any possibility? Do you know? Do you think it can be reduced or no? Like, and it's not like every time it will be reduced. There you can say, you can try your attempts, like yes, it can reduce or it cannot reduce. So make your guess in the chat. You can make it into a single line. Elif is not the case. Yes, you can. Tell me how. If you know, it's about the painting. Just find the errors, and everyone is finding the errors. When you ask like how now fix those errors, and no one is then fixing those errors. Tell me how. Like we can reduce how I will do it in one single statement. Any guess, or you just know that we can do it? Yes, we can use the conditional statement. There is one thing known as conditional statement. And what we will do is, let's say print, because, because without print, you won't be able to see your output. So print is there. You need to print number is even or number is odd. So for that, we need that print statement to print. So our conditional statement is print even number. Print this even number when, if num, same condition remains the same, because there is no other way yet that you will check that number. That's like, this is like the easiest way to check if num mod 2 equals to 0, else, right? If else. Now, as you can see, this print will only print even number, right? But it means if there's the else scenario, there should be a different print statement, which will be odd number. So you can convert your if and else to one single if. As you can see, there is no error. And from 6 lines of code, I have turned it into 2 lines of code, just reducing and making it more readable, making it more user-friendly, I would say. So let's run our code. I will run only one time. So enter a number. Which number? Any number you want me to test, or I can go with any odd number or even number. Use chat quick. 8, 7, no, I have multiple numbers now. 8 even number, so it means our code is working fine. You can do it on your end as well and see if your code is working the way you want it. If you're having any errors with the numbers, do let me know. I don't want to take up the, do you want me to go over the code or step by step doing a dry run, or is all set? We can move on to our next question. Do you want me to go over the code? If we pass number, this is 5, for example, enter a number, code will run, it will say enter a number, it's 8. 8 is stored in num, and print even number if num mod 2 equals to 0. So num mod 2, 8 mod 2 equals to 0. Is it true? Yes, it will print even number and it will not run the else part. But if you have 7, your num is holding 7, it will check print even number if num mod 2 equals to 0, but that is false. So it means else print the odd number. Do you want me to do the mod, or you already are familiar with the mod, how we take the mod and how the answer is 0 and how we are testing it? Any questions? We need to move on to our next question. Please, you can use direct chat if you want me to go over and you don't want to say it in front of the class. You can use a direct chat. It will be anonymous and I can go over how this mod works and how we are calculating. Any question? Please use chat. Yes, no. I don't see any thumbs up, thumbs down. Okay. No. Okay, so our second question is, this program checks whether a number entered by the user is divisible by another number also entered by the user. So it means now we have to take two numbers from the user and we have to check whether those two numbers are divisible by each other, right? So how to check? It's kind of the same number, but how to check whether that number is divisible by another number? So we will take another value. It means first thing is we have to take num. It will be num2 equals to, it will be the same statement. Enter a number. We will take and enter another number in the same way. Control C, Control V. Okay. Okay. Now we have two numbers. Now how to change our code? Change the existing code. Now what? Oops. Oops. Okay. Change the existing code. Now you have two numbers and what you are checking is whether those two numbers are divisible by each other or not. And when you hear the word that number is divisible by 3 or that number is divisible by 5, is you take this whenever you divide those two numbers and the remainder is 0. That's how you check. So when you divide those two numbers, you check the remainder. We do have the division operator, but when you use the division operator in programming, it will give you the quotient which is at the top, whatever the answer comes at the top. Remember, you do division like this, and there's an answer at the top, and then there is a remainder below. So to check the remainder, you use this % symbol directly with the two numbers to see the answer, that whether the remainder is 0 or not. So now your question, tell me the change, use the chat. I will start calling the names one by one. What do you think the change I have to make over here? Even number, odd number. Now our code is changed, question is changed, slightly question is changed. So what do you think? Yes, so now instead of number mod 2, you have to say num mod num2. So if when you divide both the numbers and they are equals to 0, it means we have to print number is number 1 is divisible by number 2. And one thing, now we don't know, you will not write num1, num2 because computer user don't know what num1 and num2 are. These are your variables and you are the one who only familiar with it. So what you will do is you will write yes, number is well, and before that yes, number over here, close the quotation marks. I will use concatenation operator str and I will say num, and then concatenation operator double quotation marks is divisible, this statement is becoming long, is divisible by, now over here I need num2 concatenation operator str converting my num2 because that's an integer, num2, because that's an integer. So you need to convert into string str to do the concatenation or to combine. So yes, number 1 is divisible by number 2 if this statement will run if both of them are divisible by. Else, what you want to print is they are not divisible by each other. Maybe it's not a right statement, but yeah, you can do the same str statement if you want. So now let's run our code and see. Now we have to enter 2 numbers. Tell me the 2 numbers, any 2 numbers you want me to test. You have any numbers in mind? Use the chat. 4 and 5. 4, enter. Second number 5, they are not divisible by each other. So let's run again. Now this time we will run the number who are divisible. So tell me the numbers which are divisible, the number you want me to test. Use the chat. 2 and 4. Enter a number 4. They are not, what? Oh, so one thing you need to make sure according to our code is if I recall num mod 2, so if you're sending the smaller value first, it won't work for that part. So you need to send the larger value first because 2 is going inside and 4 is not divisible by 2. So 2 will be the remainder. So that's why it didn't work. So if I do 4 first and then 2, it's like enter the denominator. The statement must be enter the numerator and denominator because that will change your answer. So it's not about 2 numbers. The first number will be, so yes, as you can see, now it works because 4 is now will be inside and 2 will be divisible by, will do the division on 4. So does that make sense? It's about the enter the numerator and denominator. So first one is numerator and the second one is denominator. So it's not about just 2 numbers. Any questions? Is anyone confused? Like what happened like in the last one? When you did 2 first and 4, so 4 was outside, just like you create like for the division, 2 was inside. How many times 4 goes on 2? 0 times. So 4, 0 times 0, and 2 will be the remainder. So that's why this condition became false. Any questions? Use chat and do let me know if you want me to go over or you're all set. Use thumbs up, thumbs down. I'm not receiving any input. No questions. 3 thumbs up. There must be, everyone must be participating because from now on, I will start calling name. There are 18 participants and I only see 5 to 6 thumbs up and thumbs down. For next question, if I don't receive any input, I will start calling name because I need some participation. This is not an asynchronous class. Otherwise, I would have just recorded the lecture and posted it. I need some class participation. Okay, so let's move on to question number 3. Do you have your question number 3 in front of you? You just have to say yes, no, thumbs up, thumbs down. Okay, so now question number 3 is check vowel or whether a letter is a vowel or a consonant. So what is a vowel? What is a vowel? A, E, I, O, U, they are vowels. And now I will change. I'm just removing the code. And now what we will do is now we are taking a character from user. So we will take character from user and we will say, what do you want to say? We have to check that character is a vowel or or it's a consonant. So checking a vowel is easier as compared to checking a consonant because there are only 5 vowels and we can write 5 if and else conditions, but checking the consonants, there are multiple consonants, so we cannot check the consonant, otherwise there will be a lot of if and else elif conditions. So first of all, we have to take, so let's say as we are taking character, I'm just writing it C. C equals to, do we need to typecast? Do we need to typecast, or we just take an input? We just take the input, so we will say input, you can say enter a character, and yes, and input, enter a character. Now you have the character. Now how you will check using if and elif situation, how you will check whether that number is a vowel or a consonant. Make a list of vowel. There is one way you can make a list. If they are A, E, I, O, U, and see if the input is in the list. Okay, yes. Okay, so this question it can be done with multiple scenarios. You can do with if and else, you can do it with switch statement, you can do it with list, you can do it with function. So depending on our scenario, we are just sticking with the if and else case. If you want, you can use nested if and else as well. It depends like whatever works for you. So you have an open option with vowel and consonant. The best way of doing is usually people do it with the switch statement. That is more easier, but we can do it with if and else. If it works, it's just if. What you are writing is you're checking if C equals to, you use sing as we are checking the characters. Don't forget A, and then which operator do we need? Which operator do you think we need? Which logical operator do you think we need? Logical operator. Which logical or operator? So we need or operator. If, because in this case, as we have a list of vowel, if any of the vowel is true, run the condition. So if C equals to A, if C is equals to A, E, I, O, U, it means that's a vowel. So if any of the letter character matches, print true or print vowel, or C equals to, single quotation mark, A, E. Again, you have to write the same, I, or C equals to O. Closing single quotation. A, E, I, O, U, and colon. So if this is the case, we'll print or you can print C is a vowel, or it's a vowel. Else, you can say print is a consonant. I'm not sure the spelling is right or not. So that is one case, and let's run, and I'll show you a little mistake maybe, or I would say that's not going to work for everything. So enter a character. Let's enter A, and it is a vowel. Let's run the code again and enter a character, enter Q, and it is a consonant. So it means it's working fine, but run again. If I enter a capital letter A, it won't work. And it is a consonant because it's not inside. So what you can do is you can add the capital letters as well, or what you can do is you can, whenever you are getting the getting the character, you can apply the function that s.to lowercase or c.to lowercase, so that whatever the character is entered, because capital A, B, A, E, I, O, U, they are also vowel. So by turning into lowercase, it will check the same condition and it will return it's a vowel or a consonant. Otherwise, you can write more or statements coming up with the or that if it's capital A, E, I, O, U, then it also prints a vowel. Okay, whatever works for you, you can do that part. Any question on this? Let's move on to our next question as we have shorter time. What was your next question? So you don't have your next question, right? So your next question is check the leap year. Check leap year, and condition for leap year is, anyone know what leap year is? What is a leap year? What is a leap year? It comes after every 4 years, February 29th. Yes, yes. Okay, so how to check the leap year? So I'm removing this code, and now we are taking the year from user. We will ask enter a year, and then we will test whether that year was a leap year or not. You can Google search that year to confirm whether your answer is right or wrong. And to check whether a year is a leap year, what you do is either you divide it by 4, but not by 100, or is it divided by 400? Okay, so these are the two statements which will be provided. So you don't have to think in the code that, oh, how I check the leap year. These two statements are provided in your question, that how to check a leap year, that number, you can divide it by, it is either divided by 4, that year, but not by 100. So, but not by 100. You need to make sure that part as well. And the second statement is, or you can do it is divided by 400. So now let's do whether a year is a leap year by just taking. Okay, so let's take the input from user. We can say year equals to, we can say, okay, so do we need to typecast the year? Yes, we need to typecast because we need the integer as we are applying the mathematical formula. As in your question, it is mentioned divided by 100 or divisible by 400 or something like this. It means whatever the input you are getting from user, it must be typecasted to integer. Otherwise, you won't be able to apply any mathematical functions. Enter a year. And after taking the year, what we have to do is, if you can do with if condition, if you need, so depending on if year, what was the condition? If it's divisible by 4, but not by 100. Okay, so that's one statement. How you will write your condition? We have very few minutes left, like 3 minutes left. Let's complete. If year is divisible by 4, but not by 100, how you will write the if condition? How we check? First thing, split the thing up. If the year is divisible by 4, so if year is divisible by 4, again, I told you to check whether a number is divisible by 4. We have been doing this from the start of the class. Of year mod 4 equals to 0, it means that year is divisible by 4. But we have another condition. What's the other condition? What's the other condition? If year mod 4, its year is not divisible by 100. How you will write that? And which logical operator do we need to connect? Both of the conditions must be true. We need AND logical operator, and year what? Year mod 100 is not equals to 0. This is our condition for the first one. So then print what? If this is the case, it is a leap year. Over here. Now we have Elif condition, where it was that if year mod 400 equals to 0, then again it is a print, it is a leap year. And else is the case, which is your last condition, that it means it's not a leap year. Google search, tell me the years which you think is a leap year. It is not a leap year. To check if our code is working fine. Okay, so no errors. Let's run our code. Enter a year. Let's enter 2022. It is not a leap year. So tell me a leap year to test and check our values. Which year was the leap year? I think 2020 was the leap year. Yeah, 2020 was a leap year. So it is a leap year. Okay, so enter the year. This was the leap year. That's it. Our time is up for the class. It's 11:50. I had more planned questions for practice, but we will have definitely more programming questions when we cover loop. So that will make it easier because it's really hard to gather programming questions there because most of the questions use loops. So after loop, we will have like an open hand to do all the programming questions, and there will be a lot of practice like this. So I want you to have your PyCharm ready on the other side, and we can do a dry run if you want me to go over how this code works, do practice. So do that part as well. Next week, we will start loops thing, and videos are posted. So whatever the videos are posted, make sure if possible, watch those videos before coming to the class. Okay, have a good day. Thank you for coming. Thank you for your patience for the start of the class. Stop.